The NFL draft will be here before you know it. And on today's video, we're going to react to Mel Kiper's top NFL draft sleepers on today's show that I think would be great fits for Big Blue. If you want more draft content, though, as we start to get closer and closer to the draft being kicked off, hit that thumbs up icon. We've kind of been prioritizing free agency because that comes first. But if you want more NFL draft juice, like this video. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. NFL Draft Sleepers, one of my favorite videos to do every year. And we're hearing from Mel Kiper, one of the best in the business. And I thought he had some really good ones. Let's start with the tight end position. Luke Lachey, the very athletic and skilled tight end out of Iowa. The production and raw stats, I don't think really put full color to the picture of the player that Lachey is. He's got prototypical size, and how many times have we seen tight ends come out of Iowa be better in the pros than they were in college? 6'6", 247 pounds, and this is someone that's a great blocker, but I think he is going to show in the National Football League that he can be a really, really reliable receiving target. He is someone that did just have 28 grabs this past year for 231 yards, but I don't think the lack of production means that he is lacking in receiving skills. One, the quarterback play at Iowa over the past couple of years has been pretty shaky. I also love that he's got some NFL blood inside of him. His dad, Jim Lachey, was an offensive tackle for 10 seasons in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Raiders, and Washington Commanders, the previous name at the time. Also, Lachey, extremely athletic background. He was a basketball player in high school, track guy in high school, and he's someone that I think could go midday 3, and I think he could be an excellent complement at that tight end 2 spot to what the Giants have in Theo Johnson. I think he'll be a better pro than he was in college, and this is already a stacked tight end class. You got guys already like Tyler Warren, who I think is a top 3 football player in this class. I love Colston Loveland as well, and Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami. He's a stud as well. If you've watched Cam Ward's tape, it's almost like it's a highlight reel for Arroyo. I don't think tight end is the biggest need for the Giants, but it should be BPA every single selection for this team. And if Lachey is there at the end of day 3, I would love taking a flyer on him. A position that is a position of need, running back. What about Devin Neal of the Kansas Jayhawks? He is one of my favorite running backs in this class. And like tight end, I think running back is one of the more stacked positions in this class. It's a heavy defensive tackle draft, but running back also is littered with a bunch of NFL talent. Good size, 5'11", 215 pounds. This is someone, though, that was uber productive. Not 2,019 carries. It was 219 carries. Typo on Marsh there. If he had 2,000 carries last year, that would be insane. What he did have was over 1,250 yards this year, 1,280 yards last year, and 1,000 yards in 2022. 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons of 16 touchdowns. This is a hard-nosed runner. He's the all-time leading rusher at Kansas. 3-time first-team All-Big 12. Not necessarily a home run hitter, but he's got good footwork inside the tackle box, shows NFL traits. I think he's a determined runner, tough to bring down. He'll run through arm tackles. I think he's got really good vision, and something that I think he's going to show more in the NFL is his ability to be a receiver out of the backfield. Didn't do a lot of that at Kansas, but I think that's going to flash in the NFL, and I think it'd be a really good compliment next to a guy like Tyrone Tracy. His favorite player growing up was Adrian Peterson, and he's also extremely durable. 12 games, 13 games, 13 games, and 11 games. Smart, tough, dependable, and a good player. That's Devin Neal. This running back class is loaded, though. Guys like Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, a lot of people are talking about them. Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. He's a really good player as well. I like Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. The other Ohio State running back, Travion Henderson, is there. And Devin Neal, he comes in at number 10 at the running back rankings for Mel Kiper. Let's go in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. Jamari Caldwell, the big boy in the middle out of Oregon. We talked about the defensive tackle class being stacked. It's one of the deepest I've seen. I've listened to people like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper talk about they have like 20 players with day 1 and day 2 grades. And like the last 5 years, only 10 defensive tackles on average go in day 1 and day 2. So you have 2 times the amount of day 1 and day 2 grades that you have on players that have been there. At 6'1", 325 pounds, he is hard to move off of his spot, man. This was his first year at Oregon. In 2023, he played at the University of Houston. 2022, he played there as well. And this is someone that I think is going to be able to be a really good run stopper at the next level. Didn't have a sack this year, but in 2023, he ended the season on a high note. It was like last 5 games, he had 6.5 sacks, played really good against the University of Texas as well. Violent hands, super athletic, really disruptive, and overall a really active player that I thought had a high motor, but also a consistent motor. His dad played at South Carolina, so he's got good DNA, and he makes plays in the backfield. 18 tackles for loss in 34 games throughout his career, and 49 pressures. 25 pressures this year, so he can be disruptive, but he has to get home a little bit more. Did not have a sack. And I think that's why he's not looked at as one of the top defensive tackles in this class. The best 2, in my opinion, are Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant of Michigan. Kiper's got Walter Nolan at number 2. Big fan of him. We love Tyleik Williams as well. Derek Harmon, the Oregon defensive tackle, he's been getting a lot of love. I think Alfred Collins is a really good player, as well as TJ Sanders. And I like Deion Walker as well. This defensive tackle class is stacked. And I think we're going to see a record amount of DTs go in the first two rounds of this draft. Let's talk about another defensive tackle. It's a big need for the Giants. They need someone next to Dexter Lawrence that can take some pressure off of him, that can hold up a double team and be a factor in the run game. And I think Jordan Phillips, the 6'3", 320-pound nose tackle out of Maryland, can get it done. Like Caldwell, Phillips didn't necessarily stuff the stat sheet. He didn't have a sack this year. Didn't have a forced fumble, only 29 tackles if you want to call it like that. But when you put on the tape, the silent tape tells me he is a force of nature and he is tough to be pushed off his spot. 29 tackles this year, did have 16 pressures. I don't think the production or lack of production that's shown in the stat sheet really puts together the type of player that he is. Still a young guy, redshirt sophomore. A lot of people thought he was going to come back to school this year. Field Yates said he looks like a cannonball in the middle of a Maryland defense. Played a lot of nose tackle, really strong hands, quickness as well, good run defender. I thought and heard that he played really, really well at the Shrine Bowl and left a good impression on those scouts and coaches. His physical ability flashed, though, when you put on the tape. He was a wrestler in high school, and I thought the best game of his season was against Iowa, a really physical run team. He had 7 individual tackles, and he was someone that really disrupted that Iowa offense. Last player I want to talk about that was mentioned by Kiper is J.J. Roberts, the safety out of Marshall. Really cool school as well. Not biased by any means of that. Someone that I think does lack a little bit of NFL size, though. At 5'11", 184 pounds, but he had 94 tackles this year. He is someone that is not scared. He is willing to throw his body around. Needs to be a little bit more under control in some of those plays. But if you just go put on the tape, this guy looks like a piss missile out there, ready to go lay the wood on somebody. Started his career at Wake Forest, finished up at Marshall, 14 pass breakups this past year. He is an athlete. He plays the ball in the air, somewhat like a wide receiver. I think he's got really good ball skills, but when you pair that with the athletic ability and the physicality, he is someone that I think could be an immediate player and a difference maker in the NFL. He was an option quarterback in high school. So he's an athlete. He also played corner. He's a big hitter despite the size. I think can improve in space a little bit, be a little bit more sound with wrapping up and not always looking for the big hit, flicking that right stick for the hit stick. Very instinctive player, though. No fear. He can cover. And he's got really nice ball skills as well. This safety class, I think it's really good at the top, but I think the talent isn't there throughout. I like Malachi Starks a lot. I like the kid out of Texas. We've mocked him to the New York Giants as well. And I'm a big fan of Billy Bowman and Jalen Reed as well. I got to cover Billy Bowman when he played in high school at Texas. Got to interview him a couple times. He was actually a wide receiver, played both sides of the ball. I think he's someone the Giants should target. And Jalen Reed, man, he was really good this year for Penn State. Bowman and Reed are two players I like. I also like Sanker out of Virginia as well. Some good safeties, but I don't think it's the best safety class. Giants could use a safety. He drafted Tyler Newbert in round 2 last year. Jason Pinnock may leave in free agency. I would keep your eyes, though, on J.J. Roberts as someone that, even if he doesn't go to the Giants, could succeed in the National Football League. 5 draft sleepers for everybody to remember. Luke Lachey, Devin Neal, Jamari Caldwell, Jordan Phillips, and J.J. Roberts. Give me your biggest draft sleeper down in the comments section. Make sure you are following me on social media at @MarshallGreen_, at @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter, on Instagram. Hit me up, and let's go Big Blue.